So think back to 2014. Gen 6 Gen 6 was in its infancy. X and Y were the newest Pokemon games. Mega Evolution was dominating the competitive scene, and two new Pokemon games were announced. And they were to be remakes of the original Ruby and Sapphire. And almost 8 years later, one might ask the question, well, how exactly well do these games hold up? Well, that's kind of what I'm here to answer, or at least hopefully do. So, join me as I give my thoughts on the remakes of the Gen 3 games. Obviously, these games had a lot of expectations placed on them from the moment they were announced. Ruby and Sapphire, well, were two of the most beloved Pokemon games, and with the really good quality of Heart Gold and Soul Silver, there was, well, a ton more expectations put onto them. And so one might have to question on whether or not these games actually lived up to the hype that they received. Personally, in my opinion, they're pretty good games. Definitely a lot better than the originals in, well, quite a few ways. And in my opinion, are probably the definitive Hoenn experience. At least for now, because who knows if they'll go back to Hoenn. But instead of giving a review of the story and a few features, I think I would do what I did last time I reviewed remakes and just compare them to the originals. So, that's what this video is about. So, obviously, one of the best features that either got reintroduced or had been introduced after the originals got released. Well, personally, I should probably talk about the most obvious one being Mega Evolution. Mega Evolution was a feature introduced with X and Y, and definitely made those games pretty fun to play through. And they got continued on in these games with quite a few new Megas being introduced. Two of my favorites, of course, being Camerupt and Glalie. Of course, there are also features that were introduced in games before this that make the comeback, such as, well, I mean, technically the return of the day-night cycle makes it come back as they kind of improve on it, but also the physical special split for, well, about every move in the game also continues on. So for those who didn't know, pre-Gen 4, every move was either physical or special, with all normal moves being physical, while water, fire, grass, and etc. were of course special. Starting with Gen 4, they tweaked it a bit, and in my opinion, definitely made it a lot better. The games, of course, continue on with that. And then, of course, there's also some new events that they added, such as the Dex Nav, which allows you to find various Pokemon throughout the region. Of course, you can also use it to find Pokemon with certain moves or certain items, and it also seems like it probably could have been a good shiny hunting method. And of course, then there's also roaming the entire region on Island Latios. With this, you could find various Pokemon that you would not be able to find in the game, such as, well, some legendaries and stuff, but it was mostly known for legendaries. Even if you could get Pokemon like Cofagrigus, Ditto, and Tynamo. But it was also a nice feature that they added. Unfortunately, there are some criticisms I do have with these remakes, and that is, of course, my most prominent one is the fact that there is no character customization in this one. The customization was originally introduced in X and Y, and it just kind of sucks that they didn't bring it back for this one. And this one isn't a criticism I have, but there were quite a few fans who were displeased that the battle tower got replaced in this one. And while I have never really been into the battle tower and all that stuff, I can definitely see why some people were saddened to realize that it was not making its return. Also, another complaint I've heard with this one is that the game is far easier than the original. And this one I kind of agree with to an extent, mainly with two reasons. First of all, training up your Pokemon became far easier in this game due to the Lucky Egg being extremely easy to get, the EXP share giving experience to all your Pokemon and Pokemon and me. While in the originals, you basically stuck kind of training on low-level Pokemon, or at least Pokemon that don't give very much experience. Kind of making the game take a lot longer, but then also, like, there could have been some battles that were a little too difficult. But I'd have to say the gameplay definitely did get a little easier with all the new moves and abilities that were being added. Of course, one other thing before I get into the conclusion for this video, I also gotta say I really do like how they brought back out of battle abilities for this game. They were originally introduced in Emerald. Actually, no, they were introduced in Ruby and Sapphire for pickup, but it was in Emerald that more out of battle abilities became a thing. And I'm glad that they continued on with that in these games, instead of taking them out like character customization and the battle tower. But despite a few flaws, Pokemon OmegaRuby and AlphaSapphire are two games I would strongly recommend. I have put quite a bit of time into these two games, and I think that they are probably one of the best Pokemon games that I've played. Personally, I like them far more than the originals, but that's just probably more nostalgia talking. But I also think that some of the new things that they added, things that they improved on, definitely make these two worth picking up if you haven't already. Of course, once you've played these, or if you have already played these, I would obviously recommend trying out the originals if you haven't played them yet. But these were my thoughts on these two remakes. Of course, be covering the Gen 7 games next, but that'll stop there once I do Ultra. And it's mainly because I don't have a Switch yet, so I can't really cover the other games. Although I'll eventually cover them, as I feel like I have quite a few things to say about them. But until then, I've been your host, Jay. So goodbye and stay safe, everyone.